Hey everyone, my name is Carrie. I'm your fitness instructor in Fit for a Purpose. If you've seen my virtual fitness classes and you've been a part of the action, you know how important it is and how much I stress to fuel your bodies with the proper nutrition, those macronutrients and micronutrients after, before a workout. Well, today I am here to show you some of those healthier substitutions in the kitchen that your whole family is going to love. You're not going to take out any of the flavor. Your dishes are still going to be delicious, but I promise you those nutrients dense foods are going to go up and the calories are going to go down. So what I have for you today is healthy swaps in the kitchen for baking and for cooking. Number one, butter and margarine. Butter and margarine are dairy fats, and they are found in all kinds of recipes. My favorite dairy-free oil is coconut oil. I love using this in cooking and in baking. It's a healthier substitution than butter. It's a plant-based alternative, and coconut oil is awesome. It has antibacterial properties in it. It's awesome for your hair, your skin, your nails, and also really, really yummy in dishes. It just gives this awesome aroma that I love. And it's also easier to digest. Another great fat to use in cooking would be extra virgin olive oil. Avocado oil has a really high burning point, so that's really good to use for sautés and stir fries. I love to use that one on the stove as well. And extra virgin olive oil is just awesome in recipes that include some kind of salad dressings, or if you want to drizzle it over already baked or roasted vegetables. For baking, some healthier substitutions for butter and margarine would be things like applesauce or avocado. Pumpkin puree is also great in baked goods. I also like to use bananas in recipes. Not only do they increase that sweetness, but they're whole foods, they're all natural sugars, and they taste awesome in baked goods. So for cooking, instead of butter or margarine, think plant-based. Think easier to digest. Coconut oil, avocado oil, and extra virgin olive oil. For baking, some substitutions could be avocados, a lot more nutrient dense than your regular granulated sugar. So avocados, applesauce, or pumpkin puree. Another great one is that banana. So usually it's just a 1-to-1 ratio of the fats to the solids. If your recipe contains any kind of liquid and it's a baked good and you're substituting applesauce, I would decrease that liquid because that applesauce is going to yield some wetness to your baked goods. Sugar. Let's talk about white granulated sugar. Like I said, a great substitution in baked goods might be a mashed up banana or applesauce. Another great one is pure maple syrup. This is going to increase your nutrient count, better health benefits, all natural. So I like to use honey, agave nectar, pure maple syrup, stevia, monk fruit sweetener. Stevia and monk fruit sweetener are much lower calories, and they're a great all-natural sugar alternative. The other three do have sugars in it, so you want to limit it, but it's still going to be more all-natural and yield greater health benefits than white granulated sugar. What about brown sugar in baking and recipes? I love to use molasses, pure maple syrup. Coconut sugar is a great substitute for brown sugar in all kinds of recipes, whether it's in stir fries. I love to use coconut sugar in stir fries, in baked goods, in brownies, things like that. What about flour? Speaking of baked goods, we are a gluten-free household. So I definitely have really been into getting some alternatives for flour. Our number one is oat flour. I love using oat flour. It's pretty dense, so it holds up great in all kinds of brownie recipes and muffin recipes. I make a lot of my cookies with oat flour and just whole oats. And if you've never had the chance to make your own oat flour, it's super simple. I usually, when I grocery shop, just buy 2 cylinders of those big oats, and I pour one in my food processor, grind it all up until it's a really thin, fine flour, and then I put it into any kind of airtight container. And then I have oat flour for all of my baking recipes, and it's readily available. Another great substitution might be coconut flour. This is my favorite bag of coconut flour. I find it at Aldi, and it is organic. I love coconut flour in all kinds of baking recipes because it really just adds this flavor. I love the coconut flavor, and it adds a great flavor. It does retain a lot of moisture, so you may want to increase that moisture content, or else it's going to make your baked goods really dry. Another one is almond flour. Almond flour and coconut flour are great in muffin recipes and cookie recipes. Lots of recipes on Pinterest call for both, and I love using them hand in hand. Another one, I get this at Aldi, almond flour. It's amazing. Breadcrumbs. Let's talk about breadcrumbs. Loving my air fryer lately, but those breadcrumbs just do not agree with our gut. So I've really been experimenting with different kinds of breading for chicken, for zucchini fries, and things like that. Meatloaf, when a recipe calls for breadcrumbs, you can totally use oats instead of those breadcrumbs. Another great substitution would be your almond flour, and I like to mix in some spices and flaxseed. That flaxseed is going to contain omega-3 fatty acids and also increase that fiber content. So great for digestion as well. So think breadcrumbs, think oats maybe in meatloaf, think your almond flour for a coating for chicken tenders. Like I said, I like to put a few scoops of flaxseed in there with some seasonings, paprika, onion flour or onion powder, garlic powder, salt and pepper. Mix that together, dip your chicken tender in your egg and then your breading. And if you want a thicker coat of that breading, you can dip it in both again. I put it in my air fryer. Delicious. They taste like Kennywood chicken fingers if you've ever been to Kennywood before. So think about those for breadcrumbs. Another great substitution, sour cream and Greek yogurt. So if you're dairy-free, this one is not going to work, but if dairy is not something that your belly has to worry about, a great substitution for sour cream is always going to be Greek yogurt. I do this a lot with my baked goods. I even do it with things like tzatziki sauce that call for sour cream. I'll use Greek yogurt, or dips. Anytime a dip calls for sour cream, I use Greek yogurt. Might be lower in calories, just a little bit, but it's going to increase that protein content. So, maybe a 3/4 to a 1/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt is going to be about 90 to 100 calories, but it's going to have a lot more protein and yield better nutritional results than just a sour cream. So think about substitutions with that. Sour cream for Greek yogurt, especially a dollop on your chili or tacos or something like that. It's delicious. Pasta. This one is my favorite. So I love giving out swaps for pasta because pasta is a comfort food. It's a favorite in every single household. A great substitution for pasta in our gluten-free house is this bag from Aldi. It's called Live G-Free. It's gluten-free, it's organic, and it's made from brown rice and quinoa. So that brown rice and quinoa is going to give you more nutrients. It's going to give you more fiber and increase all of those micronutrients that we're looking for. It's also, I love it because the ingredients, organic brown rice and organic quinoa. Like, hello, 2 ingredients in this bag of pasta. And by the way, quinoa is awesome for vegetarians because it contains all of the amino acids needed. So when you eat meat, our animal source protein has all of the amino acids needed, but in plant-based protein, they don't. So quinoa is awesome for those vegetarians out there. It holds up really good, this kind of pasta. A lot of other gluten-free pastas do not. They get mushy and soggy and disgusting. I've been gluten-free about 15, 16, 18 years now. I don't even know. And this is by far my favorite. I've been through tons and tons of pasta. This is the best. I do always cook it al dente, so I take it out when it's just a little bit hard, especially if I'm making a casserole or something with it. But it's so good. Another great substitution for pasta. This guy, again, I get it at Aldi, and it's hearts of palm. This one's linguine. So say my family's eating pasta one night, we make spaghetti and meatballs. I'm on Whole30, so I'm not going to do that, but I grab my linguine. 20 calories. 20 calories. There's 3 servings per container, so I honestly just eat the entire container myself. I get it. It's a huge bowl of linguine. I drain it first, and then I put a little bit of salt and olive oil in a saute pan and get it all nice and hot and warm. And then I just put my sauce and my meatballs over it, and it's beautiful. So this would be a great substitution if you are watching carbs or you are on Whole30 and can't have those pasta or the gluten-free pastas. Another great substitution is spaghetti squash. We do a lot of pasta casseroles with spaghetti squash in our home, and it is a favorite. A lot of casseroles, but also barbecue casseroles, like a barbecue chicken casserole is my family's favorite. It's just spaghetti squash, barbecue sauce, shredded chicken, bacon, red onion, and we mix it all together and bake it in the oven. When it comes out, I top it with some avocado, and it's delicious. The easiest way that I have found to cook my spaghetti squash in a pinch is I just stab it a few times with a knife. I pop it in the microwave for 6 to 8 minutes, depending on how big it is. I take it out, let it cool for a second, and I usually have to use a hand towel, cut it lengthwise, scoop out the seeds, and then I just take that flesh out with a fork, and it just comes out so easy. I'll usually put it on some kitchen towels to absorb a lot of the liquid because it is very liquidy. There's a lot of water in spaghetti squash, and when you're making a casserole, you don't really want a lot of that water. So I try to drain as much water as I can before mixing it with all my ingredients and throwing it in the oven. Really, really great way to get in your veggies. I also just love to eat spaghetti squash plain with some salt and olive oil in it. It is delicious. Maybe throw some grilled chicken or sausage in there, and it's a beautiful lunch. So those are your pasta substitutes. What about mashed potatoes or rice? So mashed potatoes or rice, I really love to do cauliflower rice. So cauliflower rice or cauliflower mashed potatoes is great. I usually do half and half. So if it's mashed potatoes, I'll do half potatoes, half rice. If it's rice and cauliflower, I'll do, half rice, half cauliflower. My family doesn't even know about it, so don't you tell them. They get in their veggies. It's lower calories, more nutrient dense food because cauliflower is that superfood, that power food that's packed with lots of good vitamins and minerals. And it really ups your vitamin B and vitamin C. So vitamin C is great for your skin and your immune system. Vitamin B is good for increase of energy. Who needs energy here? We all need energy. So think about adding cauliflower to those mashed potatoes and rice, that rice combo mix. I get my rice cauliflower from Aldi. It's in the freezer section. I have one in my freezer. I forgot to grab it to show you, but it's just in a bag. They make it in a garlic and herb or an original. Another great tip for rice cauliflower, that frozen rice cauliflower from Aldi, is I throw it in some smoothies. Not the garlic one, that would be gross, but the original plain cauliflower frozen rice. I put it in my kids' smoothies and they have no idea that there's veggies in their smoothie. Great way to sneak in those veggies. So think about that. Lower calories, higher nutrients, more vitamins in that cauliflower when we mix it with potatoes and rice, because we still want to get our carbohydrates. We just want to sneak those veggies in. Salad dressing. We eat salads in our house every day, but those salad dressings that I see in the store, I flip them around. I'm like, oh, usually that first ingredient is soybean oil, or it's loaded with gluten and soy and dairy, and I just think, oh. So what I do is I always make my own salad dressings. I take a half a cup of olive oil, a fourth of a cup of balsamic, 2 teaspoons of honey, 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, salt and pepper. I shake it up in my mason jar, and there's my salad dressing. It's a balsamic vinaigrette. There's also some great salad dressings on Pinterest. I do a cilantro lime one that's really good. If I'm making a taco salad, I have a honey mustard with Greek yogurt, honey, salt and pepper, some garlic, and mustard. That one is amazing with those chicken tenders I was talking to you about in the air fryer. So dip them with some homemade honey mustard sauce. Remember that Greek yogurt is going to increase your protein, so that's always good. And so I would really suggest trying to modify those salad dressings that you find in the store and substituting them with ones made at home. You're going to taste a world of difference. And if you need any guidance in that area, let me know. I have tons of salad dressing recipes that I've made up. Potatoes. Potatoes are huge in our house, especially when we're doing kind of the paleo or Whole30 lifestyle. We eat a ton of potatoes, white potatoes and sweet potatoes. Both contain a really large amount of potassium. White potatoes are going to be higher in potassium. Sweet potatoes, on the other hand, are going to yield more nutritional benefits. They're going to be a little bit lower in carbs as well. And anytime you see a brighter color, go for that brighter color. It's going to yield more nutrients, those micronutrients that our bodies need to fuel throughout the day. I'm not saying white potatoes are bad in any way, because we eat a lot of those as well. But if you're choosing between the two, a healthier substitution would be that sweet potato. Rice. White rice is going to be a lot more processed than brown rice. It's not going to have as much fiber as brown rice. So brown rice is a good substitution. Quinoa, that we talked about before at the beginning, is also an awesome substitution for rice. I like to do quinoa for my stir fries in place of rice. Anytime a recipe calls for rice, I try to use quinoa. Stuffed peppers is a dish that I do very often in our home, and I use quinoa instead of rice a lot in those two. Remember, quinoa is going to increase that protein and fiber content. Awesome, awesome. What about salad toppings? A lot of people love to use croutons. They're buttery, they're crunchy, they're yummy. How can we mimic that same great crunch and taste on our salads? I love to go for nuts and seeds. It gives you that same crunch. Make sure they're salted, and it gives you that salty crunch. I also love a cracker. Simple Mills makes it, and it's just a tiny little square cracker made with cassava flour. I think that's how you say it. Anyway, I love that cracker. It's gluten-free, dairy-free, it's Whole30 approved, and I'll crunch those up and put it on my salad as well. So instead of croutons, think nuts, seeds, and some of those healthier choice crackers. Now for flour tortillas, saying you're doing a taco or a fajita, try doing corn shells. Corn shells, they're going to be gluten-free for my gluten-free lovers. They also make a cassava flour shell, which is a hard shell, and it's great in the oven. Or do lettuce wraps. That's going to eliminate carbs altogether. So if you're really watching your carbohydrates, a big iceberg lettuce or a romaine, either one would be fine. Stuff it with your ingredients, roll it up, and eat it. It's going to be really, really good and crunchy too. For my dairy-free lovers, we try to do dairy-free as much as we can in our home too. Instead of cow's milk, unsweetened almond milk is going to be way lower in calories, a significant difference in baked goods. And you're not even going to taste the difference, especially if you're doing it in a baked good. So think unsweetened almond milk in smoothies, in baked goods, recipes like that. Coconut cream or coconut milk in the can is an awesome substitute for heavy cream or half and half. A lot of my casseroles for Whole30 have that cream in it, that coconut cream versus the half and half. It's going to make it really, really thick. Other dairy-free substitutes might be oat milk as well. I also like to do some oat milk in our house just to change it up a bit, and it's thicker, so that's kind of really good in smoothies or with cereal, like a thicker milk. Lastly, what do you have with your dips? Usually people go for those chips. The chips, the pita chips, things like that. Crackers that kind of don't have much nutrition in them. So their nutritional value is nada. And they're just kind of empty calories. So when we have dips, I like to try to choose that same crunchiness with veggies. So try some raw veggies with those dips, like hummus, like vegetable dip, tahini, things like that. Long carrot sticks, cucumbers, zucchini, celery, things like that are going to be way better and lower calories, lower carbohydrate count than your pita chips, your crackers, and your chips. I also like to do radishes a lot on veggie trays and peppers. Remember, the more color that you have around the plate, the more nutrient dense it's going to be. I hope you enjoyed these healthy substitutions that we use all the time in our home. It is a pleasure serving you with sweat in our fitness classes and with some wholesome homemade recipes. I know your family's going to enjoy them. Mine does, and a lot of times they don't even know the difference when I substitute things like Greek yogurt for sour cream or the different kind of pastas or flours that we use. Experiment, see what your family likes, and if you have other healthy substitutions that you know of that's not listed here, I would love to hear them, because I am all about healthifying all of my comfort food recipes. That's what I say I do best. It's my God-given talent. You give me a recipe that you find comforting, but high in calories and very, very caloric, and maybe a lot of fats and carbohydrates, and I promise you, I will make it healthified for you and lower that calorie and fat and carbohydrate count. Hope you enjoyed it. Every week I'm going to be posting a new informational video, so go ahead and tune